I'm really excited because I have a special guest with me today. It is my husband, and he is the producer as well for Worship Radio International. He is Blaine Irving. He will be coming in just a few seconds. I just want to welcome you guys. I just want to let you guys know that I'm really excited, and we're kind of be talking about a lot of things, I guess. When I do these episodes, I kind of try to make it seem like we're just having a conversation. However, I come in feeling that morning. Okay, so here's my guest, Mr. Irving. So when I do these shows, I want it to be very transparent and raw. And a lot of times I don't come in prepared with a topic or an idea of what I'm going to talk about because I kind of just want to have a conversation with you guys. The topics kind of just happen as I feel or as I feel led to. Really depends on what is on my mind that morning, or if I had a dream about something that I want to talk about. So that's kind of how this kind of functions. And so this is my husband, Blaine Irving.
Hi, wife.
Hello. And I've been talking to him about something that I want to do with him because I think it'll be an interesting concept, and it'll be kind of like entertaining to watch. And when I watch like different things or I listen to podcasts, I like to listen to conversations. I like to just like listen to what people are talking about, listen to people's opinions, or just different topics. And so I spoke to my husband, and we are going to be doing a show together. We agreed on the date and the time, but we did not agree yet on a name. So we're still trying to figure that out. But it will be on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. We will be hanging out, just talking about random things, just fun topics. So I know we want to...
And some serious topics.
And some serious topics. We kind of want to include the news in it.
I don't know if I turned this mic on.
Okay. All right, he'll be right back. But I kind of want to include the news in it, kind of talk about different topics. We want to I guess the strategic plan here is when we talk about the news, different topics that are on the news, we can pray afterwards over the topic, and then we can also talk about different topics that you guys give us. We're going to be doing polls every week online to see what our topic will be on that week. We're going to be talking about business and just advice on marriage, I guess, like for young folks, really, because we're still really fresh in marriage. So just kind of having fun with it. I think it'll be kind of cool. So this will be kind of like a teaser, I guess, of what it is to be expected from the show. So again, it'll be every Tuesdays at 12 p.m. We still don't know the name. We're still trying to figure that out. I suggested the Irving's Time, but he thinks it's corny. So
But now that you just blasted me out there, I know how this is about to go.
So, I mean, what do you think, though? Do you think it should be like the Irving's Time, afternoon with the Irvings?
I don't know. I ain't got that far yet.
Okay, so we don't know what the name is yet, but we will make the announcement later on this week. So, yeah, so today I have my special guest. Reason I wanted to have him on here is because he is a huge part of me. And
really?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So I'm like basically his rib, right? So it's like technically we is like this.
Okay,
So
Eve.
I'm just saying, I'm your Eve. So it's kind of like I want you guys to get to know him, get to know who is the guy that I kind of talk about literally every episode. So yeah, this is my husband. He is the owner of Worship Media Group, which is Worship Radio International is part of Worship Media Group. Worship Media Group is basically I guess you would say the bigger concept of what we do.
Correct.
It's the
Sort of the umbrella company.
There you go. Yeah. So that's the name of overall what we do. We do radio. We do publishing. We do graphics, websites, printing stuff. So web hosting too. That's the one that I kind of always forget about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So so we kind of do like all that stuff, and like I said, Worship Media Group is technically the big company, but everything else is also in it. So that's kind of like what we do. No, it is what we do. So if you would like to get to know more about that, you can contact us. You have the contact information.
Oh, shoot. You asking the wrong person.
Okay, so you can either email us at hello@worshipmediagroup.com or
Or the phone number
the phone number, which we still haven't memorized. I know that's
is
terrible.
313-356-2112. And I'm so sorry, my voice is a little funny because I have a cold. But 313-356-2112.
Yep. So you guys can contact us there if you're looking for someone for publishing. I know that's like a very big thing right now when it comes to publishing. We want you to understand that when it comes to your book, that is your baby, and we are just working with you. We're not, trying to take over your project or anything like that. We will try and help you and understand like what is the process, what does it look like. Even if you just have questions and you are still working on your book, we can still help you through that. Because we understand like writing a book is not easy, but it's also something very personal. Sir, turn off your phone.
My apologies.
So we just want you to be encouraged and know that we have an open door. You guys can either come visit us, or you can just call us, or you can email us. For radio, we are looking for more people to come hang with us and be a part.
Amen.
It's honestly a family. We don't. I don't know. I guess it is a family. We are kind of all very united. We all kind of want to stick together, and it's a family environment. Basically, we are family owned, so we are a family environment. So it's a fun thing to do. You can bring in whatever the Lord has for you. We are all about that. That's why it's worship radio. And then we do websites, which that one is technically really majority him. Because he's the brains behind that. Websites, you can call for a consultation on that. Just share your vision with us and let us help you, implement all those things into your branding, because technically now websites are branding, are used as branding. And then we have printing things. That's my favorite part, which is we print
Sorry, guys.
business cards, postcards,
Postcards,
shirts,
flyers, trifolds,
yeah,
retractable banners.
a little bit of everything. So you can just call us and hit us up. You can ask us like, "Hey, do you do this and this and that?" And be like, "Yeah, of course we do." What else am I missing?
I don't know. I was about to ask you, other than promoting us, do we have a direction today?
Yes, I just want to. This is what we do together, so I want to make sure I include this in there.
All right.
So web hosting, I never know how to explain web hosting. So we're going to let Mr. Blaine explain what web hosting is.
So web hosting is essentially to put your website up on the internet. You need a computer in order to do that. So what we provide is we provide shared web hosting, which essentially means that you have a server that makes sure that your website is available to the public.
Okay,
It's
there
about
you
the
go.
best way I can explain it.
It's like GoDaddy, basically. We don't want to promote them, but we also don't want to kind of want to give you an example of what we are, and that is called Holy Cloud. So your child right now is fooling on my belly, but it's okay. So, all right. So I said I want to talk about random topics, kind of just going along with it and stuff like that. I know one thing that we have in common is, one thing that I've just stepped into is the business world. I haven't really done that until this year for real. Because when we got married, I understood that that was going to be a part of my assignment as well, was to help him with the business, but I wasn't really confident in it, and I wasn't really 100% in it. Correct. I was kind of 25% in, 75% still trying to figure out my life. So this is the first year that I'm finally really stepping in, and it hasn't really been a year yet, right? It's been
No, not quite.
It's been
But
since
you're doing
January.
a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I really stepped in January, basically. That's really when we started to, when I really started to ask more questions, really started to get into it, and really realized that this is really a big part of what I'm called to do. So since January, I kind of been stepping in, helping you out, giving you ideas, so on and so forth.
She's been really creative too. It's been lots of fun.
Sometimes. So what do you think would be like your number one advice that you would give to someone that steps into business and don't know what the heck they're doing?
Be a sponge. Learn as much as you can from other business owners. Do your research online. Um, yeah, you just have to absorb everything around you. That's the best way, I think, to learn.
I agree with that. I think the really majority of the stuff that I have learned so far is not just by asking questions, but by paying attention to the way you interact with people when you're working, just watching you. Because let's be really raw. I mean, you're not the best teacher, unfortunately.
No.
He is not the best teacher, and he is learning to be a teacher. He's never had to teach anyone how to do what he does. So
That can be a little challenging. I think that's one of the most challenging things I've had to do yet is to the whole teaching part. And teaching requires patience.
Yeah.
And we're just going to proceed.
he's still working on that one. But like I said, he's not the best teacher, so I really have to really pay close attention to what he does, and it really depends on the time. Sometimes there's times where he's really working really fast, and I'm not going to be able to learn anything. So I can help him in other ways by trying to make his life easier and go work on something else. I'm also very persistent. When I want to learn something, I want to learn it. I don't want to, get like a tiny little piece of it. So when I have the right time to ask him, I ask you a bunch of questions and I ask you to give me a tour, and I tell you to give me like a mini tutorial of like, okay, teach me from like step 1 all the way to where you're at right now. So that way, next time maybe we can continue and you can continue teaching me and so on and so forth. So I would say that is a good advice. I guess it absorb everything that your mentee or mentor has for you. Surround yourself with people that are running their business properly. Because a lot of times, yes, there's a lot of business owners, but a lot of times they're not running their business properly. We are a different type of business. Our business is not just business. Our business is also ministry. So
It's kind of melding the two together. So
yeah. So we have boundaries that we can't cross. I guess I can say that. We are limited in certain areas. Like, for example, graphic design. I'm going to be very raw. We can't make a graphic design for a strip club because,
we wouldn't.
no, we shouldn't. Because
Nor will we.
because of who we represent and who we
Yeah.
are. We are a company that is, still ordained by God. So we're not gonna make a flyer for a strip club because that's just not what we. That's not what
It's
we
not
represent.
what we stand or represent.
Yes, we don't agree with it and stuff like that. So
Now there is some people, even in the church, that will do that.
Yeah.
Because
some
it's a
people can
job, it's a gig.
compromise, and we can't do that. Basically, we can't compromise what we do.
We don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Nor do we
so
want it.
we are a different type of business. And sometimes we have to be very obedient to what God wants us to do. Sometimes he wants us to sponsor some people. And I think that's something that I've had to learn with him. Like, for me, when it comes to business, like, it's business, yo. Like, they're going to have to figure out their lives. Like, I don't know, find a way, you know what I'm saying, to be able to pay. But God uses him to, like, bless other people. And I think that's like one of those things that I'm still learning, and I'm still like learning.
It can be challenging, even for me sometimes.
Yeah, learning to sacrifice, because some days I'm like, yeah, that could be like really helpful right now though. So it's kind of like, should we do it? But something that we've learned, well, I've learned for sure, is that every time he sows into someone, somehow that money like shows up in another way that is extremely unexpected. So it's always constantly like a cycle of you're sowing and you're reaping. And I think that's what makes this job so interesting, and it makes it more, exciting every day, because it's different every single day. It's never the same.
There's one thing I don't want it to be is ever to be the same. I always want it to be exciting. I always want it to be different. In some instances, I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change. And then in other instances, I don't like things to be the same at all.
But, in the business world, things are always changing.
Mm-hmm.
Things are always...
Evolving?
There's always something new going on. like on social media, like you see all that stuff. You see the different changes, the new things that are coming out. For example, for a little bit, people were doing books. Then they stopped doing books, and now all of a sudden the books are a hype again.
Yeah, we sort of some years ago we made a prediction, and this I think this was when, around the time that Borders Books that was closing. We all assumed that print books, were gone, and if we were gonna go completely online, and for a while, books did go online, but print books are actually making a huge comeback, shockingly, than what we ever expected. So some of the bookstores that held on, they're probably gonna be doing okay for a little while.
Yeah. I think for us, I didn't expect the book sales to be so like high. I didn't expect it to be that way. That's something that I'm still like very surprised on. I'm still learning as we're like, because honestly, he stepped into publishing unexpectedly. It
Yeah, I
wasn't
didn't want to do this.
something, yeah, it wasn't something like that was planned. I mean, yeah, God had a plan for it, but he didn't have a plan for it. So,
Not really. I had it written down in the business plan because God gave it to us, and that's where I left it. Because I was like, I want to do books.
that's my next. Okay, so that's a question. So it's like we weren't. I wasn't expecting it to react the way it did, but honestly, watching like the authors come in and bring their little baby to us, not just little, but bring their baby to us and trust us with it and watch it, just flourish the way it is. It's like wow, that is
It's
just
been a
so
lot of fun,
cool.
hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. So my question, I guess, would be. So we know Habakkuk. I don't know if it's Habakkuk. What is it? To whatever it says. Write the
Write the vision and make it plain.
right. So when you wrote the business plan of all the businesses that you have in mind, right? Not just because you have them in mind, but because God gave them to you. When you wrote them down, did you think like it would go the way that it did, or how did that process even look like? How did you even start writing a business plan?
Um, I don't know how we got started writing it. I just know I was broke, and so these ideas started flooding my mind, and I just started to write and do research on them. And they're all kind of like scattered around in this business plan, and they're not in any particular order. Um, and obviously, with a business plan, you put together the finances of what you think is going to take, to the equipment that you need and whatnot. And the business plan had like, I think it was like a $2 million budget. It was It
Jesus.
was really high. Um, and surprisingly, so far, um, all the businesses that God has had, I'm sorry, all the businesses He had me write in that business plan. Um, every one that He's had me put into fruition so far has been successful. So the radio station, the hosting company, and the publishing company.
I know Blaine loves lists, and I
I
don't
love lists, and
like
Day hates
lists.
lists.
I do not like writing lists. I'm an action person. So for me, it's like when I have an idea or I have something in mind that I want to do, I just do it. I don't write it down and then do it. I think we're very different in that department. I think my husband is also that way. He is an action person, but he is also someone that likes to write down his ideas or what he
And it's
has in
not always on the
mind.
computer either, despite the fact that I'm very technologically driven. I actually I like writing on lined paper. It's just what I like to do. So my wife sometimes gets a little perturbed with me. I'm so sorry. Because I have notepads all over the house.
Yes, a lot of them.
All over the house.
Yes. And then for January, that's what he had us do. He had us write down our goals, write down what do we want for this year, so on and so forth. And a lot of those things on that list have already manifested, and
Sure have.
for me, it's like, oh, wow, like, okay, well, okay, that's cool. But there's so many more
Are you
things to
feeling some
come.
type of way about the list?
I am feeling some type of way about the list. I didn't want to write down the list, actually. I kind of wanted to just, I really didn't want to do it. I wanted to just drop it and, like, just walk away from it. But I wrote the list because he told me to do it.
Look at God.
And a lot of the things on that list have already manifested, and there's still more things on that list that are coming to pass. And it's just, I think I would recommend, like, if you have like a business in mind, or God gives you this idea of something that you want to do, or just different creative things that He gives you, I would say write it down. And if you're not someone that likes to write it down, then just voice record it, because that's also another thing that you
Is
could
that
do.
your way out of the line?
Yes.
The list?
Out of the list, yes. So you can also do like a voice memo, and you could just title it whatever you want to title it, and then you don't know what can happen in the next 6 months. I know a lot of people, we were talking on the car on our way here, are afraid to start a business, are afraid to really step out and really get started on something
There is
like
lots of
that.
fear for starting a business because there's lots of the unknown.
How did you feel though when you started? Because I know you started from a really young age, though. You started doing different other things.
Yeah,
So,
none of which really went anywhere. Um,
what's the difference then? What was the difference from then and like now?
God,
Okay.
that's the only thing I can. I mean, my understanding of business hasn't changed a whole lot, except for not. There's one thing that I've walked away from, and that is this: not all money is good money. It's okay to, uh, it's okay to walk away from a project or a client, or it's okay. For your own sanity and for your reputation, sometimes it's better to just walk away.
Yeah, I can agree on that.
So, um, as a general rule of thumb, um, you know, our policies and procedures are no refunds. But I found myself about a year ago giving somebody a refund because once I got into the project, I realized this is not going to go well, and it's not. We're not a good fit. So understand that when you get started, oh, this cough. Understand that when you get started, not every client is going to fit well with you, and you're not going to fit well with every client. So it may behoove you to have a list of people that provide the same products and services that you do. To send somebody there if you're not going to be a good fit for them, because you may not be the right service provider or designer or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do, anyways, because, like you said, you really have to know yourself, and you really have to know like what lines are you willing to cross and which ones are you not. I think knowing yourself, and you also have to get to know your client. You have to know who you're working with, especially because our area are very personal, because it is ministry. So a lot of times we have to really get to know the ministry, get to know their projects, what are they working on. So for example, let's talk a little bit about publishing. When it comes to publishing, you bring us your book, you bring us your idea, and sometimes you don't even bring us the book. Sometimes you just bring us the idea that you have, and we listen to your idea. We listen to your testimony on how you even got this book in you. How did this happen? How did God give you this? Then after we listen, we see where we can go with you. Like we see, okay, you're basically almost done. Let's go ahead and finish, and then from there we can start doing pre-orders, I guess you can say. We can start working on pre-orders. We can start working on your book design. We can start doing so many things for you. And then from there, it's really just a fun project. We get to have fun and we get to interact. And really, we're doing this whole process with you. You're never left out of the loop. You're never, because sometimes a lot of big companies do that. They leave you out of the loop. And
They
you
do.
don't feel like they're taking good care of you, don't feel like you're being heard, or you don't feel like your project is being taken seriously. So our main goal is really to work with you. And even though we are still working on our communication, because we still struggle with communication.
Really?
Yeah,
We do?
really. A little bit. So we're still, working on that. And that's something that we're learning, that when it comes to like this area, we have to be in constant communication, because it is it's someone's baby, and we can't just take on this project and not expect this person to harass us. And so we've learned that we really have to be in constant communication, and I know we're still both learning that, and we're still learning a lot. Even though he's been in business longer than I have, we're both learning at the same time, in different areas. So how do we? Okay, I guess the next question would be how do married couples work together?
Oh, that can be a little bit challenging. Can be a little bit challenging. I don't,
How do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about working with me?
I enjoy working with you. I do. Um, Obviously, if your lines of communication are a little challenged, like ours sometimes is, um, and that's particularly because I'm not a very great communicator. Um, Sometimes I find it hard to put into words what I see. I'd rather just do it and not talk about it. Um, but I enjoy working with my wife, particularly now that we're starting to really, gel well or meld well together. Um, she's able to interpret what I'm already doing and is able to say, okay, I can intercept you and kind of help you out. So now I'm starting to enjoy it more now than I did before.
Yeah, I could say the same thing. I could say it's really fun. I think in the beginning we were bringing Ellie with us, which is our daughter, and I really, really wanted to have her here with us just because mommy things. I don't know. I just really wanted to have her in the office with us, but I've learned that when it comes to my child, I'm 100% there. Like that's where my attention goes. And I won't care about, what he's doing or if he's working on something, if he needs my help. I won't think about that because my focus is my child. My 100% will go straight to her. So I learned that I'm going to have to sacrifice. I'm not here every day, of course, but I would have to I learn a balance. I think that's one thing when it comes to not just being married, but our family is also included in this. So it's like we have to learn how to balance that out. I
Amen.
think when we are working together, and I think another thing that works for us that we are friends. Like we're
Yeah, that's
friends.
true.
So
Ida and I were friends first,
yeah,
so
so we're just really like I don't know. To us, is for me, it doesn't feel weird to work with you because we were already friends. So
it's just
it
an
kind of
adjustment.
yeah.
It's just an adjustment, but
Of course, we're not gonna argue and like if we have like a disagreement on something, we're not gonna go hard on each other and like just go all out and do
we
it in the
try not to.
office. We yeah. So, because of course we disagree. We're not freaking perfect. We like this. Sometimes he irritates me, and I will say it.
Nah, really?
Yeah, I will say it. Like you're irritating me. I need to walk away. But that's I guess like what I would do in a situation like that. I'm very vocal, so I would say you're
Very
irritating me.
vocal.
I'm gonna walk away now. I'll be back in like a few minutes. So it's just that's the kind of like where we fall at. We're very comfortable with each other. We're already friends, so it's really not that difficult to work with each other. If we disagree on something, then we disagree on something. Maybe we need to stop working on this project and work on something else.
Yeah.
We're not agreeing on the design. Okay, let's stop working on it and come back to it. Because a lot of times, what happens here is I think our biggest problem is that when I ask him to do something, like if there's something that I see and I'm like, just try this, he's like, I can't do it. I've never done that. And for me, it's like, I don't care. Do it. Because if I'm
You
seeing
know,
that,
it's funny. I'm not to cut you off, but some of the very things I'd said when God first got me started in this business, some of the very things that I struggled with, that I've now gotten past, is now the very things He's stretching me on all over again. Like, like things that He'd say, do this, and I'd be like, I can't do that. Well, now He's making me do it again.
yeah, I think for me, I stretch you. Basically, that's like what we're trying to say here. Is when I see something, I know he says he can't do it, but I know that he can do it, and if I'm seeing it, that means it can be done.
She's stretching me, y'all.
So I do like stretch him on different departments. I think even like stuff like I come up with, like, hey, I want to try this. Let's see how this looks. Or
I have to
you
say that
know,
I've learned a side of Ida, a creative side of her that I didn't know was there, and it is bringing a whole new refreshing vibe or refreshing look to everything we do here, and I love it.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's like you stretch me also because now I have to think outside the box. Um, I don't have an option but to think outside the box. I think because of who you are, it makes me think like, okay, I can't bring no mediocre idea to him. Like it has to be something that like makes sense to him and it like really blows our mind together. Like it can't be no, tiny little thing. Oh, what do you think about this? Oh, well, that's lame. It's not really not something new,
Luckily, I've never told you something is lame.
right? But that's because I'm not gonna come to you with no little like tiny idea. I'm gonna come to you when I have something like really good, and I'll be like, hey, what do you think about
Which
this?
you do like 99% of the time.
And sometimes he does look at me crazy. When it came to the show together, I said, I'm like, hey, we should do a show together. And you were like, what will we talk about? And I'm like, I don't know, just random things. I think it'd be fun to incorporate that because we do like to talk a lot and we talk about different things all the time.
All the time.
We always have different, I don't know, different topics that we talk about. And I'm a question person. So I'm always bringing new questions to him. And I thought it would be interesting to have that in the show. I was like, we probably should do that. I think it'd be
Ida
interesting.
loves bringing questions.
So,
Ida is a question. If you want a question asked, Ida is your girl.
yeah, because I don't want to call myself a philosopher because I don't think that's what it is.
You special.
Yeah. I just like questions. I like to ask questions. I'm always curious on different things. So what else can we talk about today? So I guess I guess we could talk a little bit about us and how we like got to know each other, how we ended up getting married and blah 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 blah. So
I don't think we have that much time, dear.
I know, but it's not, we got like 15 more minutes.
Okay.
So basically, we're really the gist of it is we were friends and we didn't want each other. We didn't want to get married to each other. And then God was like, that's not the plans, though. The plans are that you guys are supposed to be married. And we were both kind of like,
I didn't want Ida.
We didn't.
Like,
we weren't physically what we wanted. Like,
No.
I wanted a tall chocolate man. And he's definitely not chocolate. He is from South Africa, but he's not
I'm
chocolate.
African, just not chocolate African.
Yeah. And then he wanted a vanilla, tiny
Bubble butt.
chick, and I was definitely not that. So we were definitely not like
You're
what
not
we
vanilla.
physically.
You're
I'm
not tiny.
vanilla whatsoever.
And you
I'm not
definitely don't
tiny.
got a bubble butt.
No. I was a completely different picture of what he wanted. So we kind of just like were disagreeing in that moment, and then
Physically, she's not what I wanted, but spiritually, she's
I
exactly
think
what I
that's
wanted.
that blows my mind every single time that we talk when we bring up our testimony, because spiritually we were exactly what we wanted, but physically we were nowhere close to what we wanted.
Not even a little bit.
Because I loved his way of thinking. I loved that, who he was as a person. Like, I already loved him because he was my friend and I was close to him. But I didn't want him because I was like, but he's not tall and chocolate, Lord. That's not what I asked
He's
for.
definitely not tall.
I'm like, that's what's
There's
in my
nothing
heart's
tall
desire.
about me.
So when God came to both of us and we're like, okay, finally, we submitted to his will. I think we kind of, it was so easy. Like, it
It
wasn't
was
like,
very easy. It
wasn't
didn't
hard
feel
transition.
weird or anything. Once we accepted it, it was
yeah, it was kind of
super
like,
easy.
oh, okay. Hi, hubby. Like, it wasn't nothing like, it wasn't weird between us. Like, nothing was.
We sort of skipped that whole boyfriend girlfriend.
Yeah,
Ooh, this is
that
weird.
awkward stage where you kind of still like doing the whole like don't know how to act around you thing. Like, since the first day we met, we were very straight to who we were. We never hid anything from each other. We kind of just
I think that kind of really helped.
yeah, because we and even when we were like friends, we talked about topics that I guess you would say people that are courting would ask each other.
Bizarre topics.
I would ask very personal questions, but that's just because I was always curious about something, and I wanted to get to know him, who he was for real. And he had no problem. He was an open book, so he was never like someone that would have a problem answering a question. He would give me a lot more details than I expected, but it was great because I got to know him. So I think like that's like one of those things that one of the advice that I would always give, like if you're looking for a mate or whatever, be friends with that person first, because when you're friends, it makes it easier.
It makes it so much
It like
easier,
makes
guys.
it more like intimate. It makes it more real. So we weren't really engaged either.
No, because I never asked you to marry me.
Yeah, he never asked me to marry him. And I know to some people, like, that's, like, kind of bold. I think in, like, the first few months, I didn't really care about it. And then, like, when people were, like, asking questions, I kind of felt bad that I didn't get proposed to. But then I was kind of like, I really don't care, though. The thing is, I never wanted to be proposed to because I didn't want someone that was going to make a big old scene about proposing. Like, I didn't want that whole, let me bring you 10 balloons and, like, have all your friends and family, like, in the
Well,
room
you
and
didn't have that,
surprise
I
you.
promise
Oh,
you.
no, I did not want that. I was like, I think
She
for
didn't
me, a
get that either.
proposal is, like, very intimate. So, anyways, when we agreed to accept the will of God, God actually unified our covenant when we were by ourselves one day. And from there on, we accepted each other as husband and wife. We never said that's my fiance or that's my boyfriend. Like, that sounds gross.
What's you, yes?
Every time, like, I can't call him my boyfriend because I think it's just so weird. It's like, ugh.
You don't want me to be your boyfriend?
No,
Honey, you got a boyfriend.
no, I don't like
Oh,
that. I don't like that. So,
honey, I'll be your boyfriend.
I don't want you to be my boyfriend. So, anyways, so from there, we got married. Then we got pregnant literally 2 seconds later. And
So
then,
evidently the looks department didn't matter anymore.
so we were married for what, like 2 months, and we found out we were pregnant. And
Oops.
honestly, like I say it all the time, like we're not gonna sit here and victimize ourselves and blah blah. Like, look, we weren't protecting ourselves. Okay, let's be straightforward. But I also didn't expect to get pregnant so quickly, just because personally myself, I didn't think I could get pregnant. I shared this a little
Boy,
bit.
were you wrong.
Yeah, I know. I shared this a little bit. Like, I had a fear that I wasn't going to be able to get pregnant because I had accepted, I guess, a curse that, whatever, my family had or whatever. And so I assumed that I couldn't get pregnant. And I was, like, terrified. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I was kind of relieved, but I also was freaking out because I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm pregnant. So then after that pregnancy, we went through a lot our first year, okay? We'll talk about that when we're on our show a little bit more. But we went through a lot of things that year, a lot of changes, a lot of new things going on, learning lessons, and just a lot that year. So now our little one is about to be a year old in like 2 months, right? Kind of a month and a half. In a month and a half. And
She's not even a month and a half. A month and like 7 days.
yeah. And we're pregnant again. We have this little one. So Ellie was probably like 2-3 months old when we got pregnant again. That's
Oops.
crazy. So we're about to
So
have
again,
our second
evidently the looks department didn't matter.
one. So I think the second time around we were kind of like, like okay.
Until she told me she was pregnant, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did we do?"
I think wasn't even freaking out. I was so excited to be pregnant. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant again. I was nervous to tell him though because we had just had a really tough year. So I was really nervous to tell him like, honey, I'm so sorry, we're pregnant again. I know that it was a tough year, but I think I was just so excited because it felt different. So this time around, this pregnancy went really quickly. Little Munchkin will be here in like 3 weeks, maybe, not even. So we're excited about that.
Very excited. I'm so excited.
If you would
My
like to
little
sew
mon-
into Little Monkey, you
Yeah,
can
it's a
sew.
butcher.
Our registry is on our pages. Just saying.
Yeah. Baby registry is on the Facebook page. Please, if you want to gift a little baby with a little something, Haydee has gone through and made a nice little list of things that we need. It's not a lot.
Yeah, it really isn't a lot. I think with Ellie, I was so like, I was extra.
Extra.
I was so extra.
Oh my God.
I was because when you're a first time parent, you just want everything for your child. But this time around, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ellie
She didn't use that. She didn't use that.
She didn't use that. And God had me do something where He had me give away everything that we had.
After she found out she was pregnant.
Yes. So again, we're trusting God, and that is why I don't really have a lot of things for this baby. But that's why the registry is so small, because I know exactly what I need. I don't need all the extraness. As long as I have those things, then it's fine. So yeah, we are the Irvings. We are both kingdom workers. We work together. We
My
work
partner in
together.
crime.
Yeah, we work together in ministry. And yeah, I think that's how I want to introduce my hubby to you guys. Really, when you're around us, that's really what we talk about. What we talked about today, which was business and.
I know I look like a soldier today because my wife decided to cut my hair yesterday, which I'm so thankful.
It's hot,
The only
y'all.
problem is I now have more hair on my face than
We
I
gotta
do on
line
my
up his
head.
beard. We could probably do that today. But yeah. So I just wanted to introduce you guys to Mr. Blaine and my hubby, the one that I talk about all the time. So now you guys know we're gonna have a show together. Woo 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 woo.
We still don't know what it's
We don't
called.
know the name, but we know the date and the time, which is Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Like I said, we're gonna be talking about random topics, kind of like what we did today, where we kind of just were talking about random things. Except we're gonna incorporate other things such as news
News.
and just like topics that we hear about, topics that you guys choose actually, because we're thinking about doing a poll. And see what you guys want us to talk about.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of have a lot of fun with it. And yeah,
Is it time to go?
yeah, I'm about to exit out.
Okay.
So this is my
Well,
homie, Blaine Irving.
it's time for me to go because I'm going to turn the whole thing off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he has.
Thank you for
Thank
interviewing.
you for being my guest today, sir. I appreciate
You're welcome.
you.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Yeah, kind
feel
of
special.
interviewed her. We kind of just talked.
Yeah, that's okay.
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 So, I'm gonna go ahead and exit us out. Well, exit me out, really. But I do thank you guys so much for watching. This was really fun for me. I love talking to my husband because we do this on the regular, anyways. So I'm excited for the new show. I will be back with you guys next week. We are gonna have a special guest on July 10th. I'm working on that. And I'm really excited for her to be here because I know that you guys are going to love her because I love her. She's my sister in Christ, and I'm so excited to have her with us. So next week I'll be by myself, but on July 10th I will be having a guest. Next week I don't know what we're talking about again, but we'll be talking, conversating, and seeing, what we're going to talk about. So, again, I am Haydee, and this was She's Deeply Rooted. That was my guest, Blaine Irving. He is me husband. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'm here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. And yeah, so I'm excited. I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you want to listen to us, you can watch us on live on Facebook or tune in at Worship Radio International. Or you can tune in afterwards on SoundCloud, Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. There you go. At Worship Radio International. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. And yeah, bye.
Hey, this is DeAndre Ford, and you're listening to Worship Radio International.